that scared me to death, what I went through. One morning I was walking to a restaurant, and this guy came up to me and told me that he had asked for me. So I went over there, and he acted like a cop and told me I was under arrest. And he put his handcuffs on me, and he had me in his trailer, and he drove me to Elkin Butte.
On March 19, 1999, 22-year-old Cynthia Vigil was hooking in a parking lot in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when a man claiming to be an undercover cop told her she was under arrest for solicitation of sex work and put her in the back. "He told me I was under arrest, and he put handcuffs on me," Vigil said. The man was David Parker Ray, and he brought Vigil to his nearby soundproof trailer, which he called his toy box. He then chained her to a gynecologist-type table in the center of the trailer, and over the next 3 days, assaulted and tortured Vigil, with help from his girlfriend and accomplice, Cindy Hendy. The two of them used whips, medical instruments, electric shocks, and sexual devices to torture Vigil. Before her torture began, Ray would play a cassette tape with a recording, detailing exactly what she would be forced to endure. To make it even more disturbing, Ray explained on the tape that she was to refer to him only as master, and the woman with him as mistress, and she was never to speak unless spoken to first. He went on to explain exactly how he would torture her. "The way he talked, I didn't feel like this was his first time," Vigil said in a later interview. "It was like he knew what he was doing. He told me I was never going to see my family again. He told me he would kill me like the others." On the third day, while Ray was at work, Hendy accidentally left the keys to Vigil's restraints on a table near where she was chained, while she left the room. Seizing the opportunity, Vigil lunged for the keys and was able to free her hands. Hendy attempted to stop her, but Vigil stabbed her in the neck with an ice pick when she approached. She ran out of the trailer naked, wearing only a slave collar and padlock chains. In desperation, she knocked on the door of a nearby mobile home. The owner of the house brought Vigil in and called the police, who promptly arrested both Ray and Hendy. Welcome back to True Stories. Join our family in exploring some of the most twisted true crime cases. As always, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Now, let's get into the childhood of David Parker Ray. David Parker Ray and his younger sister Peggy lived with their disciplinarian grandfather. He was sporadically visited by his violent, alcoholic father, who would supply him with magazines depicting sadomasochistic pornography. At Mountaineer High School in New Mexico, Ray was bullied by his peers for his shyness around girls. These insecurities drove Ray to drink and abuse drugs. Ray's sexual fantasies of assaulting, torturing, and even murdering women developed during his teenage years. Around this time, his sister discovered his sadomasochistic drawings, as well as pornographic photographs of bondage acts. After completing high school, Ray received an honorable discharge from the United States Army, where his service included work as a general mechanic. Ray was divorced 4 times and had 2 children. After arresting Ray, the police gained a warrant to search his home and trailer, and what they found shocked and disturbed them. Ray's toy box contained a gynecologist-type table in the middle, with a mirror mounted to the ceiling so his victims could see the horrors delivered upon them. Littering the floor were whips, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, leg spreader bars, surgical blades, and saws, as well as numerous sex toys. There was a wooden contraption used to bend over and immobilize Ray's victims while he and his friends assaulted them, with techniques for inflicting pain. In the trailer of the Toy Box Killer, the police also discovered a videotape from 1996, showing a terrified woman being raped and tortured by Ray and his girlfriend. With the publicity surrounding the arrest of David Parker Ray, another woman came forward with a similar story. Angelica Montano, an acquaintance of Ray's, had been drugged, assaulted, and tortured by him before being left by a highway out in the desert. She was found by police, but there had been no follow-up on her case. Ray often used drugs that would induce amnesia and memory loss in his victims, like sodium pentothal and phenobarbital, so they could not properly remember what had happened to them. With a stronger case, with 2 victims testifying to the crimes, the police were able to press Hendy who quickly folded and began telling what she knew of the murders. Her testimony led the police to discover that Ray had been helped in the abductions and murders by his daughter, Glenda Jessie Ray, and his friend, Dennis Roy Yancey. Yancey admitted to strangling his former girlfriend, Marie Parker, after Ray had kidnapped and tortured her. After releasing some details about the woman in the video, she was identified by her ex-mother-in-law as Kelly Garrett, a former friend of Ray's daughter. She later testified that she had gotten in a fight with her husband and decided to spend the night playing pool with friends. On July 24, 1996, Ray's daughter, Jessie, who knew Garrett, took her to the Blue Water Saloon in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, and drugged the beer she was drinking. Garrett had walked to the parking lot when she was struck from behind and knocked unconscious. Ray took her to his trailer, where she awoke to find a dog collar and leash attached to her neck. Garrett blacked out several times during 2 days of torture and drugging. During this time, Ray noticed that she was breathing and slashed her throat open, thinking that he had killed her. Ray dumped her beside a road near Caballo. She was later treated for her injuries at a local clinic. Neither her husband nor the police believed her story. Her husband thought she had been cheating on him the night she was attacked, and he sued for divorce. Garrett moved to Colorado, and she was later interviewed on cold case files about her ordeal. Due to the effects of the drugs, Garrett had limited recollection of the events over those 2 days, but remembered being assaulted by the toy box killer. These drugs, as well as the socioeconomic standing of many of the women involved, made it difficult for their testimony to be readily accepted by jurors. Though Ray was able to beat 2 of the cases put against him, he was ultimately sentenced to 204 years in prison for numerous offenses involved in the abduction and sexual torture of 3 women in 1999. Accomplice Dennis Roy Yancey was convicted of the strangulation murder of Marie Parker, which Ray recorded. In 2010, Yancey was paroled after serving 11 years in prison, but his release was delayed. 3 months after his release in 2011, Yancey was charged with violating his parole and was remanded to custody, where he was to remain until 2021. In 2000, Cindy Hendy, an accomplice who testified against Ray, received a sentence of 36 years for her role in the crimes. She was scheduled for parole in 2017 and was released on July 15, 2019. After serving 2 years of parole in prison, Ray was taken to the Lee County Correctional Facility in Hobbs, New Mexico, to be questioned by state police. But he died of a heart attack before the interrogation took place. In their investigation of David Parker Ray's trailer, police found evidence of several more killings, including diaries where Ray detailed the murder of at least 50 other women. Despite the evidence, the authorities were unable to create cases from them. Though Hendy and Yancey both identified areas they believed Ray disposed of bodies, no human remains were found. It is believed that a serial killer who put this amount of effort into his horrifying toy box, and who killed numerous women over many years, likely had more victims than officially accounted for. The many unidentified personal effects and jewelry found in his trailer also point to a greater number of victims for the toy box killer. However, we may never truly know the full extent of his crimes. One thing is certain: the world is a safer place with him off the streets. We've come to the end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time.